like people like to act dumb. Y'all know what y'all are doing. But gaslighting. You try to convince black people we don't own our own hairstyles as a way to justify doing it.
It's like cutting a carpet. That freaks me out.
I don't forget that I can have this, baby. Nobody else you. Nobody else makes me. Nobody else had a clue what I could do, what I could do.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we are going to be reacting to some of my most controversial TikToks. I'm talking about I got so much hate, so many stitches and duets. People were attacking me for months, getting so many awful and disgusting DMs, all because people were uncomfortable and don't like me speaking facts. So before we get started, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, click the subscribe button, put your notifications on so you don't miss the rest of Vlogmas. Follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok for daily content, as well as check out my website if you're interested in my products. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, so if you guys don't know, I have a really large platform on TikTok. I have 1.2 million followers on there. By the way, ignore the background noise. If you hear any, I am currently making products and things are melting on the stove. So on my TikTok, I started my platform. That's where I first grew as an influencer, and then it transferred over to Instagram and now finally YouTube. And I have always been someone that wanted to use my platform in order to share my voice. I'm someone that likes to share my opinions, as you can clearly tell. I'm not really scared of like a certain group of people or stay quiet because I don't want people to view me a certain way. I'm just very open, honest, and transparent, and I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. And so one of the things that I like to talk about a lot, especially on TikTok, is the plight that black women go through in this country, and really just the whole black community. As an African American, as a black person, there are a lot of things that I have dealt with, and a lot of things that the people around me have dealt with simply for the color of our skin. And so I feel like it's important to use my platform to kind of speak on those issues and share those things. And of course, you know, when people get uncomfortable, they tend to lash out, be defensive, harass, and bully. So I already knew that was part of the package. But today, I thought it'd be fun to react to some of those super controversial TikToks on my YouTube channel. That way you guys can kind of get a better idea of who I am and my beliefs and my morals and my values and all that great stuff. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, I already know which one I want to react to first. I'm going to screen record because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be pausing these throughout the video. So we're going to start with this one called Let's Talk. It has 1.7 million views, as you can see. This is the one that is probably my most controversial TikTok. It's the one that got me on the Dr. Phil show. So it has, let's see, it has currently 39,000 comments, okay? And that's after I filtered them because,
when I say,
yeah, that was not cute. Okay, let's just see.
White girls shouldn't wear braids, I'm not saying that because I just don't want you to wear my hairstyles and I just want to gatekeep everything. I'm saying that because that contributes to a bigger societal issue that a lot of people don't want to recognize. Do you?
That's facts. A lot of people don't understand the history of black culture, especially in America. So a lot of the issues that black people face, people like to kind of dismiss or say it's not a big deal, or they say, you know, it's not that deep because they don't understand. And a lot of that is due to you just not being black. So of course you won't understand.
I don't know how many people have grown platforms and careers and lifestyles and six-figure salaries off the black aesthetic. Their lips, their butts, wearing darker makeup, tanning, wearing our hairstyles, saying our sayings, doing our mannerisms. And yet black women that naturally are like that are being discriminated against, experience racism, lose our jobs, get harassed and killed by the police. So the more...
Okay, so for some reason people don't like to act like that isn't a fact, that black features and black aesthetics and black mannerisms are coveted and they are trendy and they're unique on everybody but black people. There's this concept called blackfishing that I've really seen a lot of since I became an influencer 2 years ago, where white influencers will pretend to be black or to be a person of color. They will purposely wear makeup that is 10 shades darker to make them look like they have melanin. They will talk the way that black women talk, period sis, and like stuff like that. They'll wear the long nails and the lashes. And it's crazy that people are like, long nails and lashes were created in China, which, I mean, is inaccurate. But it's like crazy how y'all want to act like that doesn't belong to black people or isn't part of a black culture, black aesthetic, and yet every time a comedian imitates a black woman, he always has the very long nails, he always has the very long lashes, he always is talking with the period sisters and acting like a stereotypical ghetto black woman, right? But then it's like, or comedians that imitate white women do not have those attributes or those features because those are not associated with a white woman. And so even though we know this, people still act like those things aren't part of a black woman's aesthetic, and that that's an excuse, I guess. But anyway, so as an influencer, I have seen a lot of people grow platforms and become famous. And there's this girl, like, I talked about it in my culture appropriation video I posted a while back. Her name's like Emily or something. This girl, people thought she was mixed, white the whole time, but she is a Instagram model, and she is just known for being pretty, but her pretty is based off a black woman. And yet you have black women that literally look like her on the regular, and they're called fat. They're not called curvy. We're told we're too black. We're told we're too dark, you know? And so it's like all these things are gorgeous and they're beautiful on everybody else but black women till this day. So
The more white people saturate our spaces, the less likely we are to receive the credit and the fair treatment for the things that we create.
Right.
Think about it. If you have a white person and a black person in the room, there's a chance that that white person could receive credit. But if there's no white person in the room, you have no choice but to give that black person the credit. So It's not just a hairstyle. It's also a respect thing. This is something that white people...
that's very true. White saturation is a thing we don't like to talk about, which is where when white people come into spaces that aren't meant for them, because of their privilege and because of the way society, you know, prioritizes them over people of color, they will oversaturate that space. And then the people of color whose spaces that belongs to will get, like, washed out. That's why, again, like black women, we can't even be in our own spaces. We can't even be in, like, for example, our skin color, right? That's our own space. We're melanated. That's something that sets us apart. But now white women are coming in and they are purposely trying to be melanated. Like, it's not just a tan, right? They're literally trying to look like they are mixed or a person of color. Again, the concept called blackfishing. And it's like they come into our space and now it's like black women can't even get treated correctly for our skin color, but then you have white women coming in wanting to act melanated and they're getting glorified and treated good for the skin color, you see? So the more white people come into our spaces and do our things, the less likely we are to get credit for those things, because that's how society works.
Still have not learned throughout history. You cannot be in everyone's space. You don't have the right to be in everyone's space. You have to learn to be okay with people telling you, no, you can't have this. This is ours. You did not go through what we went through to create these things, so we do not want you to participate. So,
yeah, and so, like, that whole, like, being told no thing is something that checks entitlement. There's a concept called white entitlement, which is essentially where, again, I'm not trying to generalize. I'm just stating, just like reality. A lot of white people feel like they have the right to do things and be involved in things that they don't. So when they get told no, or when they have boundaries set against them, it challenges that entitlement and they get offended. They get super defensive. Again, like with black hair, right? By the way, I didn't feel like I had needed to clarify when I made this video, but apparently people don't know. When I said braids, I was referring to black braids. I wasn't referring to Viking braids or French braids or Dutch braids. Those aren't of black culture. I don't really care about those. I'm talking about styles like that black people created, like cornrows, which were created to help us escape slavery, which is why I don't understand why people are saying that Vikings could have created that hairstyle when it's like they weren't enslaved. So I don't understand how that correlates. But anyways, that white entitlement is checked whenever you are told no, and people don't like that. And then it's like when I said you didn't go through the things we went through to create these things and now you want to participate in them. What I meant by that is just basically saying you can take the black aesthetic without having to take the experiences, and that's not fair. Black women can wear braids, but they also have to deal with the hair discrimination that comes with it, potentially getting fired from their jobs, not being able to compete in athletic competitions, not being able to walk unless they cut their locks, being told that we are, you know, unhygienic and dirty because we have locks or dreadlocks. Like, all those things you deal with, plus your skin color on top of that, with the things of black culture. But see, other people come and they take the braids because they think it's cute. They don't have to go through what black women go through. They don't have to, you know, deal with all that. So
yeah, I don't care if a white girl wears braids. I care that when she does that, that contributes to an issue in society that continues to affect my life.
And people were like, how does that affect your life? And I'm like, it's not a direct effect. That's why I said it's an indirect effect. So yeah, that TikTok right there got so many people upset, so many people mad. I had hundreds of stitches and duets on that video, mainly by white people. And of course, that was the TikTok that got the Dr. Phil to notice me and go on the show, which that was a whole terrible experience, which you can check out, and I'll leave it linked somewhere. Yeah, one of the common things that I got in response to that video was people saying, you can't tell people what to do with their hair. It's crazy how I said shouldn't instead of could. Because you're right, I can't tell anybody what to do with their hair. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I can't rob a bank. Does that mean I should? No. And also, I feel like that's a gaslighting technique that people use in response to this issue, because them saying, you can't tell me what to do with my hair, you can't tell someone what to do with their body, that means they're trying to put it on the same level as something like Roe versus Wade, which is completely disgusting that was overturned. But they try to put it on that level, like me telling someone that they should respect the culture is equivalent to someone telling you that you can't decide to have an abortion, right? And it's like that same freedom that you're trying to get with your hair, you don't extend it to black women, because you set rules that will prevent black women from wearing certain styles. You'll set societal standards that will prevent black women from having certain hair colors. You'll prevent students from, again, walking during graduation or competing in athletic competitions because of their hair. And it's like, y'all, I feel like people ignore that evidence that is documented that they treat black women and black men like crap for our hair, but then you want this freedom and expression of your hair. Extend it to other people first. Maybe try respecting the people that created the hairstyle that you want to wear before you start trying to wear it. Just saying. Okay, next TikTok. I actually think I know which one I want to do. Oh, this is a good one right here. This one's called "We Can Wear Braids Because Black Women Wear Wigs."
Let's get rid of this argument once and for all. One, wigs have been a part of black culture since ancient Egypt. They were used as a way to display status. Now, this is a group of black people called the Melanesians that are naturally born with blonde hair. And this is a black person, like many others, that's born with straight hair. So there's no way that black people wearing wigs is to mimic white people, since we're naturally born with all hair colors and all hair textures.
Yeah, so blonde and straight hair is genetic, meaning that you can be born with blonde and straight hair. That is not cultural, because that's not something that was created for a specific group of people. Like box braids, that was created for a specific group of people, for black people, because of our hair texture. Cornrows were created as a way, again, to escape slavery and to prevent us from starving and to braid maps into our hair. So white people did not create blonde straight hair. Therefore, you don't get to decide who can and can't wear it, because you don't own that. You didn't create that. And again, like I'm showing the examples, how can that be something exclusive to white people when black people have been shown to be born with blonde hair? Asian people have straight hair. So how is it that you get to decide who can wear blonde straight hair when that's not something that's owned by you? Cultural hairstyles like box braids, cornrows, and knotless braids, those are owned by black people. Black people created that hairstyle. And of course, through gaslighting, you try to convince us that we didn't. But we did. Those are our hairstyles that we created. So we can decide who can and can't do it. That's the whole intent of ownership. Like, and again, challenges the entitlement, because ownership means you can't access something without permission. So that's why people like to say you can't, cultures can't own stuff, because that means that they can't have unlimited access, which they feel like they have the right to. They don't have to respect parts of cultures, no matter how sacred or historically significant or culturally significant. Like, it challenges the entitlement that you have. And the same thing with saying all cultures are meant to be shared, because if everything's shared, that means you can do whatever you want, and that's not life. You have to respect people's boundaries.
Versus the counterparts that openly mimic us by getting bigger lips, bigger butts, wearing darker makeup, getting darker tans, and
Bam, right. So you say we mimic white women by wearing blonde straight hair, which is something that isn't exclusive to white women, but then you'll turn around and get lip fillers and big butts and darker, again things that y'all claim aren't, owned by black women or aren't a black woman's aesthetic. But then again, comedians will mimic black women by doing those exact same things, because they know that is what a stereotypical black woman looks like.
Lastly, the fact that this is even an argumentative point when it comes to talking about cultural appropriation, specifically black hair, just shows that people know they're wrong, but they want an excuse to do it anyways.
That's true. You notice that a lot of the arguments against cultural appropriation are just excuses why you should be able to do it. Typically, things that you give excuses for are things that you want to justify. Like, you want to justify why you should be able to do it. You know it's wrong, but you want to justify it. So that's why you'll come up with all these different excuses. Like, it's wrong. It's wrong not to respect the culture. It's wrong not to respect the boundaries. So you saying all these things like, y'all didn't create the hairstyle, and cultures can't own stuff, and all cultures, like all these things, is just a way for you to justify doing something you know you shouldn't do. This one got 700,000 views, so this one was a really big one. This one got a lot of stitches, so.
And while I'm on a roll, let's get rid of this argument too. Because I don't see nobody wearing their hair like this.
And
this,
don't, and don't,
this,
and don't,
this,
and don't,
or this.
and don't.
Those are what Viking braids look like. And by
And
the way,
do.
none of those use added hair. But for some reason, y'all think that justifies wearing braids like this. Boom, boom, and boom. Y'all know exactly what y'all are doing. Y'all just want to play dumb. The braids of Viking culture are not the same as the braids from Black culture. And I don't see no Vikings being discriminated and fired from their jobs for wearing their braids. And I don't see no one growing social media platforms and careers off of pretending to be a Viking and getting the Viking aesthetic. Like, come on, y'all. It's really not that difficult to respect the culture. And while I'm on a roll...
Thank you. And let's pause and talk about this really quick, because I hate people using the whole Vikings argument. Braids is a general term that describes a lot of different types of hairstyles. The same way that clothing is a general term that describes a lot of different types of garments. So you saying that you can wear a black braided hairstyle because Vikings also had their own types of braids does not make any sense. The same way you can't justify wearing a Native American costume for Halloween by saying, well, African people wear dashikis and they don't care about you wearing a dashiki, right? I don't know if that's true. I'm just using that as an example, right? You can't use, like, that doesn't make any sense. What does an African dashiki have to do with a Native American costume? They're both called clothes, but they're very different garments because they belong to very different cultures and have very different historical meanings. The same way that the Dutch may have their braids, the French may have their braids, the Vikings may have their braids. But black people also have our own braids. And so the thing, and again, y'all use these examples, but then y'all don't wear Viking braids. Y'all are using hairstyles you don't even wear to justify wearing a hairstyle that you want to wear. And again, these women who are doing this culture appropriation stuff aren't out here wearing Viking braids. They aren't out here trying to be Vikings and pretend to be Vikings to get clout. They pretend to be black women. They pretend to get the, aesthetics and stuff of a black woman. Like, y'all know, like, I feel like people like to act dumb. Again, like I said in the video, y'all know what y'all are doing. Y'all know exactly what it is. But gaslighting. You try to convince black people we don't own our own hairstyles as a way to justify doing it. When you know it's very clear that we own our hairstyles. It's very clear. Again, black braids were specifically created because of our hair texture. That's why it's called protective styles. Because we needed something to protect our hair because our hair is, I wouldn't say it's more fragile, but it's different. It has to be handled differently. And so protective styles is a great way for us to be able to protect our natural hair while growing it. Vikings didn't have that problem. So why would they need to create those braids if they didn't have those problems? Dutch people and French people didn't have those problems. So how could they create those braids that solved these problems if they didn't have those? You see what I'm saying? So again, like, that's what I'm saying. It's not hard to respect the culture. It's not hard to just accept that this belongs to a culture and they don't want you doing it. Another gaslighting technique is saying, well, black people just gatekeep everything. And I'm like, you're focusing on the one or a couple of things we want to gatekeep because of the history of having our culture stolen, specifically black Americans in America. So you're going to ignore all the things that we share to focus on that and then act like we gatekeep everything. We share our food. We share our music. We share our entertainment. We share our fashion. We share a lot of things with society, but our hair is one of those things we don't want to share because of how we've been treated historically in this country for it and how we still get treated for it. And then how white women and non-black women do basically our hairstyles and the way they're treated. It's not right. And you can't tell me it is right. So yeah, I got a lot of hate for those TikToks. This was like in the summer, so it was really, really bad. Let's see what this one is. I think I stitched. Okay, this is a stitch.
When I say white girls shouldn't wear braids,
I said I'm done.
I'm not saying that because I just don't want you to wear my hairstyle. Okay, I'm gonna say one more thing about this topic, and then I'm leaving it alone for a while because the ignorance, disrespect, and racism I'm receiving from that video is getting on my nerves. I have one question and I'm done. Let's just say white people really did own blonde straight hair, even though I've clearly explained multiple times why they don't. Has anyone ever gotten fired from their jobs for wearing blonde straight hair? Or been bullied and had insecurities and self-confidence issues from having blonde straight hair? Has a black person ever dyed their hair blonde and been treated better than a white person? The answer is no. Everything I said is what black people experience. That is what culture appropriation is.
Thank you, Britt.
Focus on the fact that someone's asking you not to do something, that you're choosing to ignore the reason why. Instead of acknowledging the fact that black people are not treated correctly,
period.
But non-black people can take those same features and are treated better. Some people just choose to be narrow-minded and selfish and don't consider how their actions can affect a community of people. But do what you want, I guess.
Thank you. Literally. Oh my goodness. I remember that because I was getting so much hate from that original TikTok and I was like, People were literally being raised. Like, okay, side note, the Dr. Phil show, if you go and watch that video, he really tried to like narrow down or water down the topic and just say people are just being internet bullies and just being dramatic and sensitive on the internet and there's nothing wrong with cultural appropriation. But I'm like, Dr. Philio, boo-boo. I was called N-words and monkeys and black B-words and told to unalive myself, go back to the cotton field, pick some cotton, go back to Africa where I belong. So the bullying went both ways. And yet for some reason it's like, it's okay for me to be bullied because I'm talking about something you don't agree with. But it's not okay for other people to be bullied because they're talking about something you do agree with. And like I said, it's very true. Let's say white people really did blind and straight hair, right? Again, they don't get discriminated. There's no historical discrimination behind that. And I bring that up because I also remember people saying like, well, you wear wigs and that's culture appropriation in the Asian community. Culture appropriation, okay, let's talk about this real quick. Culture appropriation is not you just simply doing something of a culture. And I don't know how many times I've had to say that on social media, because people like to use things like, you ate Chinese food last week, so you're culture appropriating Asian culture. That's the way to dismiss the real issues people face with culture appropriation. Culture appropriation is when a culture has set a boundary and you don't respect it. Therefore, it becomes inappropriate. Inappropriate. And that's what cultural appropriation is. So you listening to black music is not cultural appropriation because we have not set a boundary against that. Me eating Chinese food is not cultural appropriation because the Asian community has not set a boundary. Black women wearing Asian hair, Brazilian, Malaysian hair is not cultural appropriation because that community of people not only did not set a boundary, but created an entire industry around wanting black women to buy their hair and use it. So it is not culture appropriation to just simply do something of a culture. It's when a culture tells you no and you say, I don't care, I'm gonna do it anyways, like y'all do with black people. We have said multiple times we do not want white girls wearing braids, and y'all do it anyways. That is culture appropriation. We've said multiple times we don't want influencers coming on here and pretending to be black and talking with AAV and doing the hand motions and being period sis and trying to spice up who they are. While black women that act like that can't even get into half of those spaces. But y'all do it anyways. Ariana Grande, yeah, I'm gonna call her out. I like her music, but Ariana Grande does it. The Kardashians do it. There's so many IG models that do it. Y'all use black women aesthetic to get what you want, knowing that you can literally wipe that off and you're straight. Did y'all remember seeing that clip of where Kim Kardashian was, I'll try to find it if I can, was taking out her braids and she had help from her stylist and they were like making fun of it, talking about, oh my goodness, this looks like carpet.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take hours.
How you met her boobs?
I'm dying. Do you have scissors?
I want to cut them.
Okay, so to
I
there.
could probably sell the shit out of these things.
You can cut there.
What, this whole thing?
Yeah, if you can.
What if that's your real hair? That's what I
Then I'll
want.
get a trim. It's not.
It's like cutting a carpet.
God, this is gonna take hours.
I told you. Oh,
Hours.
oh, this is not for me. That freaks me out.
Ugh, like it gets on my nerves. Okay, there was one that I really did want to do. I'm gonna try to find it because, well, I will say though, during this time on my page, I made so much money. I was getting so many views on TikTok because people were like, you know, people were being very engaging with my platform, even if it was negative engagement. Okay, we're about to get into the good ones. Okay, here we go. This one.
White people stop calling black people racist and divisive every time you speak up on something that makes you uncomfortable. Can we stop?
Gaslighting. That's gaslighting. Because number one, I'm going to say something that makes some of y'all upset. White people can experience racism. The fact that they think people hurting their feelings is racist just shows they don't know what racism is. Because racism is when you can get killed because of the color of your skin. Not because someone calls you a snowflake or a palm colored person. Yeah, that might be a mean joke that you don't like and that hurts your feelings. Yeah, being called a Karen might be something that makes you upset, but that is not racism. That is just somebody hurting your feelings. You're not oppressed. You're not set back in life because of your skin color. Things aren't harder for you because of your skin color. And of course, y'all gonna gaslight and call us victims for just pointing out the things that you all have caused in our society by your ancestors historically, enslaving us, then segregating us, and then dropping us in ghettos, and then ruining our communities, and then putting us in poverty. But you know what? Whatever. Anyways, we're gonna keep going.
Putting the burden of ending racism and discrimination on black people. I feel like this is rooted in the idea that the divide is white and black. And in reality, it's black
Boom.
and white.
Facts.
It's easier to come down than it is to come up.
Facts. That was facts. That was good. Good job, Brittany.
Like, y'all act like we were the ones that enslaved an entire group of people because of the color of their skin. Y'all act like less than 75 years ago, we're the ones that created laws that made it legal to separate white and black people. Y'all act like today we're...
Right, okay, and let's talk about this really quick, because this really, I'm not gonna cuss, but when people compare culture appropriation to Jim Crow, I really want to go punch somebody. I want to go fight, because I know you are not comparing your tantrum over not being able to wear a hairstyle to the fact that it was legal to prevent black people from having basic human rights. You're comparing you not being able to get a hairstyle that's going to rip out your hair to the fact that black people will have to walk miles away from their employment to find a colored bathroom. The fact that black people would literally, it would be legal. Like, the police would look away when a black person was unalive because they accidentally went into a all white neighborhood. They were fighting for the rights for that not to happen. The rights for them to vote. Right? The rights, okay. Ooh, do you know so many black people died because they were turned away from all white hospitals, which was the closest to them in emergent situations because they did not accept black people. But you want to compare that, and that was legal. You want to compare that to the fact that you can't wear cornrows? Are you kidding me? I feel like some of y'all, I'm really praying that some people that comment, the people that comment that are just talking, they don't really understand the gravity of what they're saying, because I don't feel like any person that actually knows that that's so insane and disrespectful and just disgusting to compare it to that, because you want to throw a tantrum over not being able to put easy 1B braiding hair in your head, and y'all probably don't even know what that is, and you want to wear the hairstyle. Ew, disgusting. Get away from me.
Still not getting shot in broad daylight because we look suspicious. Y'all realize it was the actions of a white man that caused this country?
Also, let me clarify, because I know people are going to be like, oh, I didn't own slaves. I didn't do that. I didn't do the segregation thing. Yet, you still have that same mindset as your ancestors, which is entitlement. Again, you feel like you have the right to have things. That's what the whole colonization thing happened, because white people were like, oh, we want to take part in this. And the people were like, okay, you can share some things, but not everything. And they said, oh, we want everything. And they said no. So they overtook it. That's how this country was founded, because they literally killed off most of the Native Americans, millions of Native Americans, all because they wanted the land and they wanted the resources when that wasn't their land to take.
To go up and up.
But y'all do the same thing with our hairstyles and our culture. Same thing. You want to take it by force because you can't have it.
In protest for the Black Lives Matter movement because of what happened with George Floyd. Y'all realize the election of another...
Right, that's another thing. It's like, y'all say we're so divisive and racist. I'm like, baby, you realize that things like George Floyd still happen every single day, but you want to say me speaking up on an issue that I deal with and it makes you uncomfortable is racist. Is divisive. And yet George Floyd, y'all understand that George Floyd's murderer was caught on camera murdering this man, and it took the entire world protesting for I think like months for them to take this man to court. They weren't gonna take this man to court. He was gonna get his little probation, right, and then be on his way. They weren't gonna take this man to court. Literally, this man passed out. I ain't gonna get started, but you saying that stuff like that is not what causes racism, keeps racism alive. But black people speaking up on issues that your white privilege has never allowed you to see. That's racist and divisive, because you got on TikTok to want to have fun, and you actually had to think for a minute, and actually had to take accountability for a minute, and actually had to realize that, dang, terrible things happen to people that are of color, and I need to be more sympathetic and empathetic towards that. But no, your first thing is to call me racist.
Other white men.
Girl,
Trump caused this country to be the most divided that it's ever been because
sure
of the
did.
ideas and morals
That
he
carrot.
had.
God
And we
forgive me.
forget that we're still getting fired from our jobs because of our hair and bullied because of our skin color still. Even something like social media. You know, there's a problem on this app with white creators stealing things from black creators and not giving the credit. For some reason, y'all don't want to be held accountable for what your ancestor did. Y'all have to say, well, that was a long time ago. I didn't have slaves. How is it fair that we still have to deal with the consequences of what your ancestors did? You don't even have to acknowledge what they did and how it still affects us today.
That's something that kills me. People saying like black people are just victims. You know, we're just victims. We just make stuff up. That was 100 years ago. Get over it. Did y'all know? Okay, trigger warning. Did y'all know that today I watched a TikTok of this black creator saying how they used to have black barbecues where they would roast black people and then take pictures with their body parts, and then on slave ships they would take a black person, cut them up, cook them, and then serve it to the slaves over rice. But we supposed to just get over that. So it's okay for you to be affected by what your generational trauma. Because, like, you know, things happen in your childhood. And yet people are okay with saying, yes, we understand this happened to you. And we understand this affects you in your adult life. And yet we're not allowed to be affected by something like that that's happened to us. And we're not allowed to still have things that impact us today because of what happened to our literal family members. Not even, like 200 years ago. Y'all realize segregation wasn't even that long ago. I don't, it's like, can we get, like, It's like these things ended what, like 200 years ago. Can we even get like half the time to get over it? Like y'all act like it's been what? I wish I knew the numbers, but it's been what? I'll put them on the screen if I can find them. But maybe like what, 40, 50 years? Can we at least get half of the time since we were brought over here and abused, enslaved, and tortured to get over it? I'm sorry it makes you uncomfortable that we're not getting over the terrible things your ancestors did to us, you know, faster. I'm sorry that like the whole country was built on the fact, you realize that the country wasn't even built for slaves. It was built with the mindset that we were going to be enslaved forever. So nothing was put into the Constitution for black people or women. So it's like,
that
dang.
you rather ignore it because it doesn't directly affect you. And then when we speak up on it, it makes you uncomfortable. You want to call us racist and divisive. And then trying to find a way to even out the score by trying to be oppressed and face discrimination even though you don't.
That's the other thing that kills me. White people try so hard to be oppressed. I'm like, why? Why would you want to live like this? No one wants to live like this. Again, you don't want to take accountability and just accept you have privilege. You're not a bad person because you have privilege, but you have privilege. Acknowledge that. And use your privilege to help other people. But no, you want to feel like we're on an even playing field so you don't have to feel bad about what you get and what others don't.
There's nothing wrong with being white, but it's a problem when you don't acknowledge what it actually means to be white and admit that you don't know what it means to be black.
That's another thing that kills me. Like, white people try to tell people of color about our experiences. Like, baby, you don't know what it's like to walk in these shoes, so you can't speak. And you know what's funny? I feel like so many people that want to get involved and participate in like black culture and stuff like that would never, if given the choice, choose to actually become black, because they know like being black is different from like acting black. Being black is different from having the black aesthetic. They wouldn't choose to be black. They'll do everything they can to look like a black woman, but at the end of the day they would not choose to be one. You wonder why. Okay, here we go. We get into the good ones. Ooh, okay, this is a good one. I'm kind of scared about the reaction on this video. You know, people don't care.
That this culture appropriation video, her comments are super positive and supportive. Yet when I make them and it's about hair, not clothes, they get the exact opposite response. Like, people are telling me it's just hair, but no one in that comment section is saying that it's just clothes.
Okay, can we talk about that really quick? I made a short on this. I love how people like to say it's just hair, but then will proceed to do the most over a hairstyle they claim not to care about. I love how on the Dr. Phil show, white people went all the way to LA, got up at 6 a.m. to be on set just to tell me that they could wear a hairstyle that they quote unquote doesn't matter to them. I love how you say that it's just hair, but then you will proceed to discriminate against black people so much so that a law had to be created to prevent hair discrimination. Why are you picking on us for a hairstyle that you don't care about, right? I love how it's not a big deal, and yet you can't just accept the simple fact that you can't wear it. That's like me, a Asian hairstyle that I'm not supposed to wear. Like, it doesn't matter to me, so I'm not gonna make a big deal and go cry on social media about it because I can't wear it. I'm just not gonna wear it.
Numerous people tell me not to straighten my hair and have blonde hair, but no one's telling that creator not to wear clothes that are made by white designers. And
gaslighting. It's a common technique that they use against black people. Again, like, my point in this video was saying that, like, anybody else that talks about culture appropriation that's not black, they get a more respectable response. I don't care what y'all say. Especially when a white creator talks about the appropriation of people of color. People are like, yes, thank you for pointing it out. Why do y'all refuse to listen to black women over the issue that affects them, but will listen to a white woman over the issue that affects black women? Shouldn't you listen to the person that's actually getting affected by it more so than the white person?
Example number 2.
This is
what I was
the
talking
perfect
about.
example of wealthy white creators profiting off of cultural appropriation.
So we have a white creator that's acknowledging that culture appropriation is an issue and is speaking up on it. These are what her supportive and positive comments look like. Compared to...
Also, can we mention that y'all love to say, well, not everybody in your community has a problem with it. You know how they'll do. They will scroll through the thousands of comments of black people saying this isn't okay to find the one token black person that wants your validation telling you it's okay, and then they will basically be like, it's okay to do it. So what do you say to this white girl that is saying that culture appropriation is wrong? Catching my drift might not be the best analogy though.
The disgusting comments that I receive online. So why do you get a more positive response when you're a non-black person speaking up on culture appropriation? And why when someone's talking about clothing is more respected than when someone's talking about hair? Like, people are clearly telling me that I can't own a hairstyle and can't gatekeep a hairstyle. And it's not a problem when someone wants to gatekeep or own a style of clothing for their culture.
Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. We're gonna get into it. So, background, there's this girl, her name was like Susan or something, and like typical, it's crazy, it's like a stereotypical white girl named Susan Jones, right? She stitched that original video, the first one I showed you guys, and got like 1 million views, right? And the whole comment section was full of white people just egging her on and making her feel good, right? And so I responded to her, and as you can see, of course, because of the algorithm, person of color, I don't get nearly as many views as her. I get 279K. And I basically make a response. And then this girl, like, and I never commented on her page, never did nothing, never reported her videos, nothing. And then this girl gonna come on my page on another video trying to talk mess. And I'm like, it's giving obsessed. But at the end of the day, her account ended up getting banned. I just think it's funny how, like, everybody thought I was wrong, and yet my account's still up and hers isn't. Happened with another girl, too. So just keep that in mind.
This video made me roll out of bed. Damn sure it did.
Let me roll my eyes.
Let's have the creator of this video because I want her to see it. I just want to point
And
out,
it
if you
is.
said what you said, why are your duets and saved options off from your video? I'm so sorry you rolled out of bed to talk about a topic that you know nothing about, especially since you ignorantly stated that me wearing braces is considered culture appropriation. Miss Ma'am, do you not know what culture appropriation is? It was simply...
Like I said, y'all, she said that braces were made in... I'm checking my time. She said I'm culture appropriating because braces were made in France. Again, earlier I did explain what culture appropriation is, so hopefully that will help people understand why that's stupid. But okay.
Doing something that another culture has done, then no one be able to do anything. If that was the case, it would be offensive for you to make soul food, for you to watch black movies, for you to
like I said earlier.
Culture appropriation is when a culture has asked you not to do something for whatever reasoning. In our case, it would be because we face racism and discrimination over the specific things we're asking you not to do, and then we see you all take them and benefit and profit off of them while we're still being treated like that. For example, you had something to say about me wearing fake nails and eyelashes. According to you, these came from the Asian community. The Asian
Which
community
not
has never
true.
said that they don't want people wearing fake nails or acrylic. So much so that they have entire nail shops where they want people of other cultures to come and get their nails done. That's what they
Boom.
want. Same thing
Exactly.
with eyelashes. But again, I understand you using those irrelevant points because you just don't understand what culture appropriation is. And honestly, I'm not really surprised because you're a white woman. Which is why I will never understand the entitlement that you feel to come on this app and make a video saying something about a black person when you never and will never ever be a black person. So you don't know what we experience. So who are you to speak on it? Of course, like she said, I'm the reason why racism and segregation exists. Not the fact that in situations like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Trayvon Martin had, the only reason we might get justice for those things is if it's caught on camera, and even then, probably not. Oh no, because I'm a black woman, I'm making you uncomfortable. That's why. Be for real.
I was so mad. I was so heated because her video really did go viral, and there were so many white, like, that's how you know you wrong, when all you see is white people agreeing with you. Like, I'm sorry. When it comes to societal, especially like racist issues and things like that, if you have a whole bunch of white people agreeing with you, 9 times out of 10 you are on the wrong side. That's just that.
Why does it make sense to say this? This is a braid. This is a braid. This is a braid.
This is what I was saying earlier.
As we can see, these hairstyles all look very different, even though they have the same general term. That's why they're further classified as a box braid, or a knotless braid, or a cornrow, or a Dutch braid, or a French braid. Also, let me just point out, this is clothing. This is clothing, and this is clothing. Clothing is a general term to describe what you put on your body, and yet it looks very different depending on the culture. So, for example, the same way it doesn't make sense to defend wearing an offensive Native American costume by saying, well, Asian people wore clothing too. You're not the first person to create clothes. It's the same way it doesn't make sense to justify wearing African American cultural braided hairstyle by saying, well, the Dutch had braid, the French had, Vikings had braid. Because as we just saw, those are not the same thing. It's just a general term. So instead of trying to use irrelevant points to justify appropriating a culture when they clearly told you they don't like it and it's disrespectful, just stop and go wear those braids. Why?
Bam. That's basically just what I said before. There was one that I was trying to find. I can't find it, but basically it was an African woman saying that African Americans are kind of being dramatic about cultural appropriation because African people don't care and they're the ones that actually create the hairstyle. And that kind of goes into the whole like black diaspora war, which is so stupid to me, which I talked about on a short I posted on here a couple days ago. Black is a race, but black has many different ethnicities, and I feel like as black people we should respect each other's ethnicities and respect each other's differences and respect that we have different experiences. In Africa, black people are the majority. They're treated very differently than black people in America who are the minority. Also, crazy concept, but maybe because these two countries, well, Africa's a continent, but these two places have very different histories, which is why it might be a big deal in America, but may not be a big deal in Africa. So if you go to Africa and they're okay with it, that's fine. But when you come to America, you have to respect the cultures and the traditions and the standards and the boundaries of that country. And it's like people love to say, well, oh, it's just an American issue, it's those Americans. Think about the history of America. It's like y'all act like it's a crazy concept for a country to have an issue that other countries don't deal with because of the history of that country. China has certain issues that America doesn't have. Do we dismiss those? Child labor is a really big deal in Asia. We don't really have a lot of that here. Do I dismiss child labor and say, oh, it's not that big a deal, this is just a Chinese thing? No. Like, I can acknowledge that an issue is real, but also acknowledging that I don't experience it, so I don't understand it. Instead of dismissing the issue because you don't experience it, just say you don't know. Also, like when people say there are bigger things to worry about. Well, I don't think it's bigger things to worry about when a single mother of 3 was just fired from her job because she was wearing braids. I'm pretty sure it's a big deal to her. It's okay for 2 things to be a big deal at the same time. Like a specific rare disease. It's not maybe the hugest deal in my life because I don't have a rare disease or know anyone that does. So it's not something I deal with. But I can acknowledge that it's a big deal in someone else's life. And I don't have to dismiss their experiences because it's not a huge deal in mine. Like, as a white person, black issues aren't going to be a big deal to you because you're not black. You don't have to deal with them. And that's okay. But do not dismiss the issues that black people face. Africans, don't dismiss the issues that African Americans face. African Americans, don't dismiss the issues that Africans face. Everybody just needs to understand that you just have to respect people. And I think that's the last TikTok. But basically, all I just wanted to say was, you know, this whole culture appropriation thing is sad because a lot of people will refuse to acknowledge it's an issue, even though people are crying out and saying, look, we are being treated terribly and it's not okay. We have historically always been stolen from. Ever since we got onto this land, we have been stolen from, taken from, abused, tortured, mistreated, and it just continues. It just continues because people don't care. People don't care the way black women are treated. It's been known, it's been shown. People don't care the way that black men are treated. People don't care about the history of black people to the point where we don't even know half of it. We don't know half of the terrible and horrible things that happened during slavery and during segregation. We don't know. My thing is what grinds my gears is not people disagreeing with culture appropriation, but people just saying it's not real. And I'm like, how are you going to tell me as a black woman that the discrimination that I face from my hair is not real? I'm just confused because you don't know what it's like, but you feel like it's okay to tell me what it's like. Entitlement. But yeah, that's really it. So I just wanted to kind of go over some of those controversial TikToks. And again, I am a creator that's going to say what I want to say. I want to say what's on my mind. I love beauty, I love hair, I love fashion, I love makeup. But I also like talking about real issues. I also like making people think. I also like, you know, getting a message out there. And my thing is, people are like, oh, no one listens, no one cares. My videos will reach the people they need to reach. That's all. I make it, give it up to God, and let it go. And then it will reach the people it needs to reach. It will make the impact that it needs to make. I'm not concerned about the random person that doesn't care. That's not why I share my videos. So yeah. Well guys, that's it for this video. If you like this content, hopefully you'll give me a thumbs up. I know some people aren't. But make sure to subscribe, put your notifications on so you don't miss the rest of Vlogmas. I think the next video after this will be a silk press. Maybe not. I don't know. But make sure to follow me on my TikTok and on my Instagram if you would like, and check out my hair care products. If you're interested, the link will be in the description as well as on the website. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching and hanging in there. I'm pretty sure when I edit this, it'll be a long video, so I appreciate you if you made it to the end or if you just watched a little bit. It don't matter. Alright guys, thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Tell me what you see in me.